Have you ever wondered why some people seem naturally intelligent, naturally disciplined, or naturally focused, as if they were born that way? The truth is, they were not born that way. It is simply because of the habits that they perform every single day. I've come across people who've changed their life simply because of the habits that they have embedded in themselves and they perform it repetitively. And that has taught me something very small but powerful, that who you are is hidden in what you do every single day. Who you become is simply by the habits that you adapt every single day. Now, we like to talk about our goals, we like to talk about our achievement, we like to sit down and talk about the moment in which we become great simply by talking without taking action. You need to take action, you need to adapt those habits that are going to build upon who you become. Now, think about this for a second. Who you become in the next 5 years is based on the habits that you practice starting today. Now, it is not about taking something very massive and trying to kill yourself on it one day. It is just taking a tiny habit and performing it repetitively. There is something very powerful that people don't get to understand. People think that excellence is a gift. It's not a gift. It is not luck. It is not talent. These are habits that you build in the early mornings where you don't feel like completing something, but you end up finishing it. That discipline that keeps you moving, just that 1% improvement can change everything. Now, what makes you different from others who don't want to climb to the top is discipline. You need to feel that discipline. When you get up early in the morning and you want to go to the gym, but you don't feel like doing it, you end up doing it anyway. When you feel like, oh, I have a project at hand and I don't feel like completing it, but that discipline keeps you doing it because you have been doing it every single day. And I know of people who have this ability of consistency due to the fact that they have practiced those habits. They don't want to rest, they don't want to take a leave. That is the habits they have built upon themselves and they enjoy it. So many people see it as suffering. The definition of enjoyment in today's world is something else. We don't want to get into that. When you look at the stories or you listen to the stories of the great leaders that we have today, the greatest podcast hosters we have, the greatest innovators in the world, you realize that they started from the bottom. But something changed alongside their habits. They were very consistent in it. They were very disciplined in it. And most importantly, they enjoy it. And that is what I want us to dive into. Let's get in very deep. As we move on, I need you to understand something really quick. Excellence is not about perfection. Excellence is a decision. It is a direction. It is a way of showing up consistently. That is how you build your habits. And I need you to understand this. You don't become disciplined before you start acting disciplined. Rather, you act disciplined before you become disciplined. Your action comes first before your decision. That is something that many people don't understand. They think that you become disciplined before you start acting disciplined. The reality is, you have to start acting disciplined now before you become disciplined. If you feel stuck, if you feel lazy in your projects, in your assignment, whatever you are trying to do, it is not because you were born that way. It is not because you came from a poor background. It is not because of the hardship that you're facing. It is simply because of the habits that you have built upon yourself. And I can assure you that if you start with the right habits, you're going to shape who you were meant to be. Start with the right habits. What you do often becomes who you are. Your body adapts, your brain adapts, your life adapts. Now you need to ask yourself, what are the habits that I'm repeating every day? Are they shaping who I'm becoming? Are they making me become a better identity of myself? Or is it pulling me back from what I'm trying to achieve? It starts with self-awareness. Once you are aware of who you are and what you want, that is where the difference comes in. Because so many people want to do so many different things. You know very well that I want to become this person, but you get confused simply because of what you see on social media. People entertaining themselves, enjoying themselves. And you know very well that these are not the habits that you have been practicing. These are not the habits that I've put in place. Self-awareness starts with your habits. I need you to remember this very important. I'm sure you might have heard of it. There's a saying that goes, people don't rise to the level of their goals. Rather, they fall to the level of their habits. I need you to remember that there is some powerful insight in it that people don't really get to understand. At the beginning of the year, people are setting goals, and the reality is the habits that you build is what is going to make you go forward. Now, let me analyze this in a very profound way. Whenever a year is beginning, or whenever I'm trying to embark on something new, I don't focus on the goal. I don't set a goal and focus on it. I rather build a system that is going to make me consistent in whatever I'm doing. Because when your mind is fixed on the goal, whenever the goal is not achieved, what happens? It breaks that momentum that you have always been working with. But when you have this habit, the system that you have put in place, that you're always going to be consistent in whatever you're doing, that is what changes the difference. Excellence isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. It's a commitment to yourself. It's a promise. And it's a direction. Don't forget to subscribe.